I got a couple funny spirit stories for you guys. Um, Spirit cracks me up so much sometimes. Like, I can be doing a reading and spirit can, like, if you know when you're doing card readings, it's cards that jump are like extra messages or more significant messages that spirit is saying. So spirit will like throw cards at me sometimes, or throw cards in general to emphasize certain things. And sometimes it usually, I mean, not usually, but a lot of times it corresponds with something that has come up that I've discussed with a client or whatever. And so that will oftentimes make me laugh out loud. Or sometimes, like, they'll repeat the same message over and over again. And I'm like, I get it. I get your point. Oh my gosh. So that is one way. But there have been a couple things the last couple of days, and one just now just really made me laugh out loud. Um, this one just happened. Okay, so spirit uses my lights to get my attention. I mean, spirit will flash lights around me all the time, just kind of like as a little sign. Actually, another funny story at my parents' house. My parents' house has definitely has spirits there. I think my grandparents and maybe some other spirits. And I have a close friend of the family who's a medium also. So when she's in town visiting and I go over there, the lights always go crazy when I'm there, but they are even worse when she's there too. So one time like they were going crazy and I don't remember exactly what we said, but something, sorry, interruption. Um so the lights were going crazy and I like kind of acknowledged it. I was like, "Hi." Somebody's visiting, or I don't remember what I said exactly because it was a while ago, but I said something acknowledging it. And then my family friend said something, and then they like flashed again, like almost like an acknowledgement. And I was like, thanks for the validation. And like everyone around us was just like, what is going on? Um, and so, but that was more like, you could say like a ghost, or maybe not necessarily a ghost, but just like loved ones or just spirits of people who have passed. Though when the lights flash here at the house, I know it's my spirit guides, or it could be guardian angels. I have angels, ascended masters, and I have loved ones with me. You know, it could be any of the above. I usually take it as certain people. But anyway, so they use the lights to get my attention, especially if they want to give me a message. The kitchen lights in particular, like any of the lights could flash, but the kitchen lights in particular. I don't know if there's something about those light bulbs that it's easier for them to do that, but I've had to replace light bulbs all the time because my theory is that once they start using a light bulb, like it'll cause the light bulb to deteriorate and eventually it'll go bad and it won't work anymore. And what ends up happening is it ends up flashing all the time and it won't stop. Um, so I actually have two light bulbs that just went out a week or two ago. One of them Spirit had been using a lot, and I'm not surprised that eventually it started flashing and it wouldn't stop. Like it was like a strobe light. So I had no choice. I had to take it out. And then the other one, I think Spirit started to use, but I don't know if it just went bad quickly or what the heck. It just stopped working completely. So I ended up, I didn't have those two light bulbs working for like the past week or so. I ordered more because I didn't want to go to the store, and they just came. And I literally a couple hours ago replaced those two light bulbs, and just now I went in the kitchen, turned on the lights, and a completely different light bulb just turned off. It had not been touched or messed with at all yet. It just turned off. And I just started laughing. I'm like, are you just like trying to make a point that you can still mess with the lights or that you're still going to, or just letting me know you're here? Like, it was like both two lights went out. So you're like, okay, I'll give it a rest. And as soon as I changed them, within hours, they turn off a light bulb. I'm like, oh my God. And I turned off the lights and turned it back on, and it came on. I was dying. I was cracking up. Like, well played, Spirit. Well played. And then the other story from yesterday, I was chatting with someone on a forum, community forum type thing. We were talking about twin flames and various things. And we both brought up how people tend to like pay attention to to signs. People pay attention to signs. Sometimes it gets to the point of obsessively. And I had mentioned about how they tend to like latch onto angel numbers, and you want to know what every single angel number means and all that stuff. And like, I'm not like that so much anymore. I went through that phase. I did go through that phase. I'm not like that so much anymore. Like, I do pay attention to the angel numbers to some extent, and there are certain ones that stand out to me more than others, especially nowadays, the 144, because of everything. I've been channeling a lot about the 144,000 and learning new information about them, and I'm going to be recording videos about that soon. And it's also because other people started bringing it up to me about, you know, those of us who are part of the 144,000. So anyway, so that number is something that just, for me, stands out a little bit more recently. So at the end of that conversation, the other person replied one last time and said something, and the timestamp was 441, which of course is 144 backwards, but of course I noticed that. And I was like, of course, the last timestamp has 144. And she started laughing. She's like, you gotta laugh at Spirit sometimes. Like, making a point that we were just saying about when people obsess about that stuff, and then Spirit's like, oh yeah? I'll give you one right now. And yeah, Spirit just really makes me laugh sometimes. I wish I could remember all the stories, but I don't remember all the stories. But yeah. Another story about lights in my house. I was doing a meditation in my bedroom, and the lights don't usually do anything in my bedroom. And while I was meditating, my bedroom light started like going on and off, but like not just like a flicker, like legit on and off for longer seconds, that it was like more obvious and definitely not just the light bulb. And I'm like, I know who it is, because I have someone in particular who is with me a lot, who's guiding me through my journey. That's a long story to get into, but I know who it is. And I was like, hi, Silver. Like, I recognize your presence. And I've heard lots of people tell stories about people who have like third eye meditation conversations and chats with their angels a lot. They have like told stories about how their angels and whatnot, they have like funny personalities. Usually, the way I communicate with them, I don't get that type of stuff as much, because it's harder for the angels or the spirit guides to show it. Like when I'm having a conversation with a pendulum, like there's no tone or anything, like it's a lot harder for it to come through. But I have had jokes come through with the pendulum before as well. And I've had them say stuff to me that I'm like, ha ha, like, okay, I get your point. There was one time that Spirit teased me about something personal. It was something that was a validation of who I was talking to, but they teased me in it. And there was another one that I was just thinking of. So one time, even though I have clairaudience, it's usually in my own voice. I don't usually hear a different voice for my spirit guides. But one time, I was driving and very, very faintly heard Jesus's voice, because someone cut me off and I was like, Jesus Christ, do you have eyes, or something like that. And then I immediately went, I'm sorry, Jesus, you know it's Robert's fault, right? And who was my stepson, and he used to say it all the time. That's what got me saying it. And I very, very faintly heard him laugh. I was like, did I just hear you? And that was a whole story in and of itself of how I like confirmed that I really did hear him, and that I wasn't going crazy, and that it wasn't like a figment of my imagination. But I very, very faintly, briefly heard him laugh at me when I was like, it's Robert's fault. And he like responded in a way that I knew it was him too. And I like tested it. I tested it to saying like, if it's really you, then do something to prove it. And he did. So anyway, funny spirit stories.